Hello, for those just joining this module, we are working through the Form PI1 General Application, or PI1 for short. We are going sheet by sheet with a minor NSR amendment as the example. In this module, I'll be showing you the BACT sheet for reviewing best available control technology. This sheet lists the current Tier 1 BACT requirements for each new, modified, and consolidated fin that was represented on the unit types emission rates sheet. While it is outside of the scope of this amendment example, I'll mention that renewed sources will also be listed here. Units that are being renewed are not required to meet current BACT. However, units being renewed must meet requirements that are economically reasonable and technically practicable given the age of the facility and the impacts of the emissions on the surrounding area. Check out the renewal module to see more about that. This first section lists site-wide BACT requirements for bulk fuel terminals and plant fuel gas facilities. Back on the technical sheet, I indicated that this project was not for a bulk fuel terminal, so these lines are grayed out and are not applicable for my project. I did select that my plant utilizes plant fuel gas, so this BACT requirement is listed here. Be sure to expand the row height, like this, to see the full text, and then confirm agreement with the requirements here. Enter additional notes if you're proposing an alternative requirement here. The next section lists unit-specific BACT requirements. Both the unit type here and the pollutant here, as well as the action requested here, are pulled directly from the data entered on the unit types and emission rates sheet. The action requested, column A, helps with the BACT review since the requirements may be different based on the action. For example, BACT is reviewed differently for a renew-only source versus a modified source. The next step is to select your rows and expand the height so you can see all of the information. The easiest way to do that is to select the rows and then double-click between the two rows. For each entry, read the requirements here, and then use the drop-down to confirm that you'll be meeting those requirements. The additional notes column is generally optional, but will be read like it is here when additional details are required. For example, the BACT listed for this turbine for NOx is listed as 5 to 9 ppm with a list of different control devices that could be used. The text instructs the user here to specifically tell us what number they are going to be meeting and the proposed technique to meet it. So in this case, the user should confirm here that they are going to be meeting that requirement, and then type what number and control device they'll be using in the additional notes, such as 9 ppm using a dry low NOx burner. Another scenario where additional notes are required is if the applicant does not confirm agreement with the Tier 1 BACT. For example, if I select No here, the additional notes column is read and information is required. In this case, you should enter in what you're proposing as BACT. This may include a Tier 2, Tier 3, or layer analysis. If that's the case, you can enter it in the cell here, or you can put it as an attachment if it is a long discussion. If you're doing a discussion, then please type See Attached Tier 2 Analysis, or whatever type of analysis is being attached. Next, we will scroll down and look at our paint booth. Again, I'm going to expand the rows to see the full details. You can see the unit type listed is what I entered as the unit type on the unit types and emission rates sheet here, paint booth. This is why it is important to clearly define the unit type when selecting Other on the unit types and emission rates sheet. Had I just entered booth, we wouldn't know what type of booth it was and what BACT should apply. Since this was not a standard unit type for a combustion site, Tier 1 BACT has not been populated here, and the applicant must propose BACT in the additional notes columns. In this case, I'd suggest the applicant reviewing the coatings BACT table on our website and proposing those requirements in these cells here. Note that for each of the terms, PM, PM10, and PM2.5 are combined into one line item for BACT, and each source also includes MSS BACT.